Good evening and welcome to Small Groups. We're so glad that you're here tonight. We are thankful that we're going to continue a series that we've been doing over the past few lessons about some tips on prayer and how we can increase our prayer life, make our prayer life more effective. And so tonight we're very excited to have Sister Lexi with us. She's going to be talking to us on the subject of increasing prayer throughout our day and ways that we can do that. So, Sister Lexi, we're really glad you're joining us. Thanks for hopping on to do this.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, in First Thessalonians, and we'll just jump right in First Thessalonians 5, Paul's talking and he says things like, he almost gives like a list and says, rejoice always and never stop praying or never cease to pray or pray continually. So when you think about First Thessalonians, Paul's writing, that chapter, those verses, how do you interpret those particular verses?
Well, when you sent this list of what do you think he's saying, I started reading through chapter 5. And what I found in my reading is this whole chapter is talking about the coming of the Lord. And he's talking about how the sons of God, we're the children of the light. Other people are living in darkness, and that day is going to come on them quickly, and they're not going to be prepared. But we're children of light. And further down, when those verses come in about pray without ceasing, he's talking to those of us that are believers.
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying that as believers, we should always pursue what is good for ourselves and for all. So we should be doing what's best for us and for others around those. And then the very next verse, he starts in with rejoice always, pray without ceasing. And I thought about the rejoicing. That can be kind of hard. I don't think he expected us to dance or anything and be excited about all our tribulations. But it's very intriguing as a believer when you see them being uplifted and rejoicing when they're going through difficult times. You can tell that they truly are children of light. And when I think about pray without ceasing, a lot of people think that prayer is travailing and going into warfare, which it can be those things. But usually prayer is just a conversation with God.
Mm-hmm.
And without ceasing, we can do that throughout the whole day. So having prayer continually, talking all day long with God, I think that's what he's saying in that scripture. And then lastly, giving thanks. I know it's really easy when we're on this side to not see everything that he sees, obviously. And so sometimes it's hard for us to give thanks because we can only see this side of things. But it's saying if we do this, this is God's will for us to give thanks. And we have to trust the bigger picture, that he sees it all. And no matter what we're going through, to give thanks because he can use it for his bigger plan. So that's how I interpret those. That's kind of a long answer.
No, that's great. And so you said something at different points throughout that, as far as these are the last days and these are how we should act and, what this leads to or produces. And so I'd like to know, with that kind of context, as we are trying, at least in midweeks and at New Life, to increase people's level of prayer and amount of prayer. And so when that happens, when people start to pray more, what do you think will happen what do you think will happen to our daily lives? What do you think will happen when we add more prayer into our daily lives?
So I think adding more prayer is so beneficial for us and for everybody around us because we act differently. But
Sure.
adding more prayer to your daily lives, it's not going to change God. It's not going to change what he does, but it changes us. It changes our perspective.
Sure.
When we add continuous prayer throughout our day, we begin to have an actual relationship with Jesus and we start to come more like him. His thoughts become our thoughts, and we view people, situations differently because we've spent that time with him. We're getting to know him. And when we're talking to him continuously throughout our day, it's a lot easier to be impressed by his spirit.
Right.
Because if we just have this relationship in the morning, I'm not really listening to him throughout my day. And when you keep that line of communication open, it's easy. If he has something to say to you during the middle of your day, it's easy for you to be impressed because you're adding that prayer throughout your day. And something that I came across on the internet the other day, throughout the past couple of years. I've heard a lot about the what the CDC says and all of that stuff. And on the internet the other day, I came across this program that they do, and anybody can take this training that they offer. And it's on crisis and emergency risk communication. But what caught my attention was their main slogan for the program. It says, the right message at the right time from the right person can save lives. I was like, wow, that's so fitting to prayer because it's connecting us to the right person so that we can get the right message at the right time to save us from the daily destruction that the enemy lays in our path.
Very good. Yeah.
And I thought about that and I was like, okay, that puts it into perspective for me because it's crucial that I have that daily walk with him so that anytime I can hear the message he's trying to speak to me and I can hear it clearly. And second of all, I can know it's him because when I get in that crisis and emergency risk, it's not the time that I need to be trying to decide, is this the devil? Is this my flesh telling me this? Or is this the Lord?
Very
And it's very beneficial for us to have that daily prayer life continuously so we know what his voice sounds like to lead us through.
Yeah. And I mean, you've got testimony after testimony of people that they've had, that's why it's a walk with God.
Right.
And how it's led them continually and how valuable it is.
Yes.
So let me ask you this as we kind of close on our last question. If you were going to like equip us or help us with a tip or something that we could necessarily take home and apply it or use it to increase prayer throughout our days, what would be something as valuable as this lesson has been? What would be one thing you would tell us?
My take home tip is very simple. It's not anything great and whatever. But as a mom, I do have a certain prayer time that I set aside in the mornings when Elliot goes down for his nap. And that's my specific focus prayer time. But what I have found to help me be more mindful to pray throughout my whole day is just a simple thought to go to God first. I am a person, and I have heard Brother Shelton say this, and it made me feel so much better. He said, my faith cannot handle Google. And I'm like, if Brother Shelton is saying his faith can't handle Google, neither can mine. And my initial response sometimes through my day, I get a bad report from the doctor. And the first thing I do is go Google what that report is. And it's terrifying. Like you look it up and you have 5 months to live. I'm already crying about like 5 minutes I have left with my kid and it's not even accurate. And so what I found to be helpful is in every situation, go to God first. If something's stressing you out, instead of maybe going to your friend or spouse first, go to God. Take your fears, your stress, your concerns to God first. And there will be a lot of opportunities throughout your day to go to him first. And I think once you start establishing that, you won't even have to have a mindful mindset. It just comes naturally to go to God first and have that daily conversation, communion time throughout the whole day. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think if that's lived out, that will change somebody's life.
Yeah.
If you will decide instead of texting somebody or going to Facebook or looking it up or whatever, if you'll just pursue God first in it and bring it to him, that can absolutely change the complete trajectory and direction of a person's life, especially their prayer life.
Yes, because then you want to talk to God more, not just about your problems, but if something exciting happens, you've already built that into your system to go to God first.
Right.
And it develops like an intimate relationship with him.
Right. And this has been fantastic. And I think it's something that everybody can take home and put into practice. So we're going to have a time right now of group discussion. Thank you, Sister Lexi, for joining us. And your small group leader is going to take you into a time of discussion and have some questions. And we hope you have a great rest of your night. God bless.